Hey there, Attic PC Guy here, and if you have been following my latest videos about unboxing stuff, you might have noticed that I've gotten pretty much the majority of the components that you would need for almost a brand new PC. I have gotten a NVMe M.2 Drive as well as a i7 9700K processor around Black Friday, so a couple months back. I also have gotten a pair of RAM sticks, g.skill Trident Z RGB, and I have finally gotten around to ordering a new motherboard. It is an Asus motherboard, Maximus 11 Hero, especially for the Z390 chipsets, which include the processor that I got. Now, I will do a video of me putting it all together. I will do a video of me putting it in the desk. Uh, I have actually already installed it as I am recording this introduction because I recorded myself while I was putting this stuff together, but I did not really get around to do the introduction until now. But in any case, this is a forewarning for the next video, not this one. This one I did manage to record very well, but the next one, it didn't turn out as great footage as I hoped, but I will still do it. In any case, this will be a two-part video. This video will go around installing the key components on your motherboard. And by that, I mean installing your RAM on your motherboard, installing your CPU in the CPU socket, and in this case, installing the M.2 drive into the M.2 port and putting the heatsink back in together. Now, because of time constraints, that is why this will be a two-part video, because I will have to put it in my desk and reroute the wires as well. And the wires are under a false bottom, so I will have to basically remove a bunch of components and screw a bunch of stuff, reroute a few cables because of where the headers are on the motherboard does not match my old one, and it will be time consuming. It actually cost me about half a day, some 5-6 hours that it cost me to do that. So yeah, I have to do that in two videos because otherwise it will be a very long video. Uh, and yes, it is strange that I keep going between it will be and it cost me. That's because I am in the mindset that I'm still going to do it because of a video, but I have actually already done it and I'm just doing the intro now. So forgive me for the discrepancies, and without keeping you for any longer, I will go into the video and let you see how to put together these components and how to assemble the basic components to your motherboard before putting it into your case. As a small addendum, I might advise that you want to probably install your cooler as well, even if temporarily, so that you can boot your motherboard before putting it into your case. I did not do this on camera, but I did do it, and to make sure that everything is working correctly, that everything's plugged in correctly, and otherwise you might have to take everything out again to troubleshoot it. So keep that in mind. I won't keep you any longer, and let's start with the footage. Aha, it's me again. Sorry for the interruption again before the footage, but I just want to do a small disclaimer. I had to film it with my webcam audio in place of my headset because obviously I was working on stuff, couldn't quite be hooked to the PC. So the audio is a bit subpar. I'm sorry, it's still very understandable, it's just not as clear as the audio that you're hearing now. So hopefully that is bearable, and now for real, I'll let you guys see the footage.
So this is basically what you are going to need for the part that I'll be doing in this video. Like I said, I will only be doing the components that I can actually do already on the motherboard to have ready for final assembly because of time constraints. I want to have as much done today as possible, and this is what I can get done today. So you have obviously your motherboard, your RAM, your NVMe M.2 drive, and your CPU naturally. Because you have an NVMe M.2 drive, you will also need a screwdriver. So first of all, I will open up the motherboard box and I will fish out the things that you need. Now, when you are building something like this, like a motherboard and their components, you will want to have a surface that is not electrically conductive and does not have static. Like, for example, the cardboard box where your motherboard comes on. So you can easily do your building here without any sort of issues. You can also use, if your motherboard comes with anti-static bag, you can use that bag. You can also use the actual bigger cardboard box where it is. But I'll just put it here and leave it here until tomorrow and then put it back in the box for some extra protection. Now, first of all, you are going to want, in this case, you are definitely going to want the user guide that comes with your motherboard, and you don't necessarily need all the cables that come with your motherboard yet, but you do need the baggie of screws that I actually showed yesterday. I was like, okay, some standoffs of screws. These are actually standoffs and screws for the M.2 Drive. So you definitely want to have this handy if you are installing a drive of that sort. Now, because of your motherboard being a dual channel motherboard, you will have to set up your memory properly to take full advantage of its speed. Otherwise, you are going to be crippling yourself and not utilizing the speed fully. Now, you can check which configuration this is, either on the user guide, as you see here, some recommended configurations, or it is also conveniently here on the board. As you might see, it is a little difficult to see, it's not very focused, but it is there written very specifically which are the recommended channels that you can use. In this case, it will be the second one here, and then the fourth are the recommended for use according to the user guide. Now let us unpack our ham. Which I have shown in another video. It is a Trident Z RGB 3600 MHz with 17 latency timer, and there are not many ways that you can screw this up, to be quite honest. You just have to this little flap here, you just have to flap it outwards. Actually, it's the one on this side that you have to flap outwards apparently, so no confusions on that. And you will carefully slide in the ham here. There is only one way that it will fit, so there's no way that you can like put it up the wrong way or something. And you will have to press. Hold on a second, it's not in completely well, and we would not want to damage this, of course. Until it snaps back into place. That took a little bit of fiddling to get it in the correct position, but it is there, it is in place, it is locked on both sides collect, and now you install the second RAM module the same way that you installed the first one. You put it there, you slide it, you hear a click, and click. They are both secured in place. So your RAM is installed. Now for the next part I will go for the M.2 Drive that I will have to use my screwdriver to get to. Now for the second module you want to do the exact same thing. You want to slide it in, make sure that it is aligned properly with the little indentation at the bottom of the motherboard so there is no damage. You slide in, click, and click. They both, actually there was not a second click because it was just that well in place. but they are both in place, and now both your RAM modules are installed. Now for the M.2 Drive, you're going to need a little baggie with the standoff and screws for it that will be included in your motherboard if it supports it. You'll need your actual M.2 Drive, and you might want to check on the user manual which M.2 slot you should use if there are multiple. Now I know that I can use either of them, but I have been also read reviews reporting that there is a better thermal performance temperature wise on the bottom slot as opposed to the top slot. So I will be using the bottom slot, and again you can refer to your user manual for instructions on how to do it, but I will just show you. You'll have to unscrew the heat shield, which I will now do. Hopefully the screwdriver is, yes, seems to be small enough, otherwise I would have to get another one. You want to keep the screws on the side somewhere where you won't accidentally lose them or knock them over. Because I believe it does not come with spares. So yeah, whenever you are unscrewing something, please try to keep that in mind. So those are the screws off, and now the heat shield comes off. As you can see, it has a little sticker that you will have to remove before putting it back in place. But you also will have to install the standoff and screw that comes included in your motherboard. Now, first off, I will take out my M.2 Drive. It is a Samsung 970 EVO, and I will double check exactly what length I need, because as you can see there are multiple points for standoff, so I will need the last one apparently. So take your little baggie, open it. In my case there are two sets of standoffs and screws in here. I only have one M.2 drive, so make sure to save the rest in case you decide to expand in the future and add a second one. Now you grab your standoff, and pretty sure with your finger, you don't need any specialized tool, you can just install it in there. Yeah, just like that. Try to install it as tightly as you can, so it will go all the way. Now it is in place, and now you will need to plug in your M.2 drive. So there's also only one way that those pins connect, so there's not a whole lot that can go wrong with this, and it will do this before you actually tighten it down, which is what the screw is for. So now you grab the included screw that came in the same baggie as your standoff did. You grab your screwdriver, you press it down slightly, you don't need to press a lot. It's a tiny screw, and my screwdriver is almost too big for this, but it's doing its job. See? My high-tech illumination device needs resetting. It is my phone flashlight with a 5-minute timer, so I apologize for the professional lighting in this video. So the M.2 is secured in place. Now, for reinstalling the heat shield, you will have to peel off the plastic that is protecting the heat shield. So there you go, a nice little peel on no, no, come back. Come back, you little... He's a slippery little guy. There you go. Now it is peeled. I will just double check on the instruction manual because some of these thermal pads have heat shields on both sides. Although I do not think that is the case for this one. No, the other side does not have a plastic little thingy similar to that. Now making sure that it is in the same position that it was before and lining up the screw holes with your heatsink shield thingy. We will try to put it back down as neatly as possible and just put the screws that you safely stored on the side and did not knock off the table, lost and or gotten eaten by your dog slash cat slash iguana or whatever choice of animal you have. You will screw them back in place as tightly as possible without overdoing it, obviously, because you might need to take it out one day and you don't want to wear the thread too much in case your screwdrivers are, let's call it, special, like mine. They would probably wear down the thread if I insisted on over tightening it. So, nice and tight, your M.2 Drive is in place and ready to give you some speed. Now, for the CPU installation. I left this for the last because it's usually the most sensitive part of the putting stuff in the motherboard kind of thing. You will want to always leave the shield that protects the socket on until the last moment, until everything is done and ready and in place, because it protects it in case something falls and bends a pin there. And if a pin there bends, there are ways to fix it, but they're extremely difficult. And in practice, if a pin bends there, you've just killed your motherboard, no questions asked. You're gonna have to get a new one. So for starters, I have my CPU here. It is Core i7-9700K from Intel 9th generation. You will, this little bendy arm here, the retention arm, you will carefully remove it. I'm trying to, it's not a very handy position to do this, but I have to film it somehow. You can press it down slightly and slide it outwards, and it will just lift like this in place. I actually have to move the motherboard a bit so you guys can actually see. And there is your socket. Now, without dropping anything in there again, you will look carefully and see if you notice any bent pins at all. If you notice any bent pins, stop everything you're doing, put it back in the box and shoot it straight back to whatever shop sold it to you, because you're gonna need a new board. And you don't want to give them any ammunition to say, oh no, but you tampered with it, you already installed stuff in there and you broke it, so you know, your problem. So yeah, don't give them any chance to say anything like that at all. And if you notice a problem, return it immediately. Now, what you are going to want to do is you will want to line up the little arrow, I'm not sure if it's visible, but there is a little arrow there, that focus is not great, at the corner on the CPU, and you want to line it up with this corner here, which is the, well, you will see it's quite obvious because the the shape of the center of the die kind of gives it away, but and plus the lettering on the back of the CPU, you will want to, as gently as possible, line it up with the bottom left corner. It's usually marked. Yes, it is marked by a small dot here on the outside on the PCB. You will want to, as gently as possible, without applying any force, just try to drop it there in the socket, just like that. See, that is the CPU installation done. You should not have to apply any force at all, and that is it. Now you put back the retention plate there where it was, and then you will have to close it back again. This part is super scary because it does require to put some pressure into it, and you do hear some clicking noises, but that is just how it goes, really. You have to first put the retention arm, and then this always scares me a lot. That clicking noise is just hell. But that clicking noise is actually just the shield coming off as you press it, and it does come off on its own. You don't actually have to remove it. It's just very scary because you hear that noise and you think, damn it, I'm crushing the pins in there. But it's in. And this was the retention shield that protected the socket. The CPU is safely in place, and the most sensitive part of your build is now complete. Now, normally now you would proceed to put the thermal paste, apply the cooler, apply the... Damn it. I'll just hold it. You would proceed to put the motherboard in your case, apply the thermal paste, install the cooler and all that cool stuff. But that will be something for tomorrow in my case. So I hope this video has been helpful. I am sorry that the lighting was not great and that the working angle was not amazing and I could not do better zooms. I am fully aware that there are better videos out there from more known YouTubers and reviewers and stuff, but as you might have noticed, I am a one-man crew. I do not have an amazing camera with a good zoom function and someone else operating the camera, so I have to make do, so apologies for that. I hope this has helped you guys see how simple it is, really. Even if it's a bit nerve-wracking, it is quite simple to install the stuff on your motherboard. Now, you have seen RAM, you have seen CPU, and you have seen M.2 drives. Now, for the next video, I will be putting the build together into my desk, which is my case. In case you haven't noticed the video, I will put the link, should be flashing on the screen right now. I will put up a link so you can see what I mean. It's probably going to take me almost an entire day's work to put the motherboard in there because there's a lot of cabling and routing that needs to be done. And it's not necessarily at the same place where I had my old motherboard, so it will take some work to put the cables where they need to be because I have a false bottom to hide all the cabling mess. But anyway, I will make a video about that and hopefully I will have that done tomorrow. For now, this is all going safely back into the motherboard box, where it will not get any dust or any particles or anything landing on the sockets and on the CPU. It will stay clean, it will be just over the night anyway. And yeah, this has been it. You'll be able to see how to install the rest of the stuff. Now, this was Attic PC Guy. I hope I have helped you guys see how simple and easy it is to install stuff on your motherboard, and at least gives you some confidence to build your own PC. Now, I'll see you guys tomorrow, and have a good night.